Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope your day is starting off just fantastic. And what a fantastic day it is. Grouse Mountain, Kelowna, BC, posted here by Dennis in the I Choose Canada group. Your picks just keep getting better and better and better. And I wanted to post an inspirational picture today because I have fantastic news. And the latest breaking news, hot off the presses here as I record this, breaking. Canada's economy blows past estimates for Q3 growth. Blows past estimates. Canada's third quarter annualized GDP surprises with growth of 2.6%. Apparently, everyone's surprised that Canada's doing well. And these are spectacular numbers in sharp contrast to what people expected. So rather than just focus on this 2.6% number in this one economic release, I'm going to present a lot more data because the trend is bigger than just this. There's a lot of positive news that has just come out, and I'm going to paint a little bit of a story. The sharp contrast between our country and what we're doing and what's happening in the United States. It just seems that economic numbers coming out of Canada are just good. There were many people that predicted that we would have massive unemployment, that the manufacturing sector would collapse, there would be out of control inflation. Canada's broken, but a la contraire, it seems to be the other way around. It seems to be that the United States is posting bad number after bad number, while we're posting good number after good number. And we'll start with something that would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic for Americans. Trump cuts tariffs on beef, coffee, and other foods as inflation concerns mount. Oh, inflation concerns are mounting in the United States? They're mounting, are they? Well, that's an interesting way of describing it. This is something that all economists, well, real economists, people that understand the economy, predicted. I'm not talking about politicians. Donald Trump didn't predict this. He predicted the opposite. He assured everyone that it would be those foreign countries that have been ripping us off. They'll pay the tariffs. China will pay the tariffs. Canada will pay the tariffs. Hey, when we put tariffs on Brazil, 50% tariffs on Brazil, they'll pay them. Our coffee prices will go down. Anyways, so ridiculously stupid. Why is it hysterically funny if it wasn't so pathetic? Because this whole time, Donald Trump, the administration, or I use in quotations, economists that are... That's an interesting effect. Economists that were promoting the U.S. administration position would come up with all sorts of explanations that tariffs won't necessarily raise prices. Tariffs are not inflationary. And now, look at the, what's the word? The contraire. Well, prices are too high. Americans are getting concerned. So let's lower the tariffs on beef, coffee, and foods. We'll tell Americans that if we lower the tariffs on those items, the prices will go down. They'll go down if we lower the tariffs, but they didn't go up because we raised the tariffs. If we raise tariffs, prices won't go up. But if prices are high, we'll lower tariffs and they'll go down. And what's hilarious to me is that there's between 50 and 100 million Americans that are so stupid that they won't see how those two positions don't really add up. How ridiculous it is. It's like eating out of your ass and farting out of your mouth. That's the best analogy I could come up with. Now, as inflation concerns mount in the US, the latest data from Canada is Canada's inflation rate fell to 2.2% in October as gasoline and groceries rise at a slower pace. And this is the correct way of describing it. And this is on Yahoo Finance. The prices have been rising for as long as I've been alive. There's been very few periods in history that prices actually dropped. The Great Depression is when that happened en masse over the whole economy. You can point to specific products that decrease in price occasionally, but in general, prices rise. And the Bank of Canada and the US Federal Reserve and most G7 countries target about a 2% rate. That is a healthy increase in prices. That's a healthy amount of inflation. And what that means is that year over year, over year, over year, for the rest of your life, things are going to increase in price. That's fairly healthy because companies can increase their productivity. Workers' wages can increase to keep up with that. It's not that hard for workers' salaries and pay to keep up with a 2% inflation rate. In fact, you can gain and increase wealth in your whole society if your pay increases at a faster rate than 2%. And this headline describes it perfectly, that Canada's inflation rate fell to 2.2% in October. Those are the latest numbers from Statistics Canada, as gasoline and grocery prices rise at a slower pace. They're still going up at 2.2%, but they're not going up at 3 or 4 or 5% per year. Now, we don't have official numbers from the United States because they stopped reporting numbers due to the government shutdown. We just have inflation worries mounting, is the way to describe it in the United States. Surveys in grocery stores showing double-digit increase in prices, like 15, 18% increase in coffee and beef and bananas and other grocery items. And it's so pathetically ridiculous. I feel sorry for these Americans, especially the ones that are so stupid that they were fooled. That they were fooled into believing that if Donald Trump imposes tariffs on imports from other countries, well, prices won't go up. The other countries will pay. But in reality, there are so many things. There are so many things that the U.S. imports that they simply don't have, or that they can't grow coffee beans in the United States to make enough coffee for everyone. They don't grow bananas in the United States. They import a lot of their beef from Argentina and Canada. And if you impose tariffs on all of those imports get taxed by the companies, the retailers that are doing the importing, and they're going to raise their prices when they sell it to Americans. So this whole scheme that Donald Trump came up with to make America great again, to tariff all the other countries that were so cruel and so despicable and so nasty to them, to make them pay, what he actually did was he made all Americans pay. And now they're paying, and they're quite upset. Concerns are mounting in the United States. And so now he's tacoed, he's backpedaled. If you're going to make a banana split for dessert, it'll cost a little less because I'm going to stop taxing bananas when they come across the border. Now, like I said, the United States has not posted an official inflation number for October, but if we go onto the trading economics site here and just compare Canada and the United States, this is for the whole year. You can see the trend. This is Canada inflation rate monthly, and you can see that it's been within that target range for most of the year, with numbers as low as 1.7% inflation, and the highest one is 2.6%. The most recent number in October, 2.2%. This is a stable inflation curve. And if you hear any politician in Canada, like there is one, who will go on and on and on about out of control liberal inflation, his comments are full of shit, because this is one of the best inflation curves in the G7. Contrast this with the numbers from the United States, excluding October, hasn't been reported yet. And you can see that for the whole past year, every single month in the United States has been over 2% inflation. Their lowest number is 2.3%. The September number was 3%, and prices have increased drastically from September, just based on surveys done in grocery stores, because again, official numbers are not out. And the key factor that's affecting this is a self-inflicted wound, is their tariffs. The tariff tax that they've imposed on themselves on all the imports they make from all other countries. The only effect it's had is that they're importing less from other countries. But the stuff that they're importing costs more because there's a tax on it. And so now I've got to ask you a question, and I'm interested in your comment in the comment section, because there's two possibilities here, okay? There's two possibilities. It was Donald Trump's idea, or his administration's, his team's idea to impose tariffs. And they assured the American people that it would not cause inflation and that other countries would pay the tariffs. Okay, so these are the two choices. Number one, he was lying out of his ass. He knows full well how tariffs work. He's imposing the tariffs so that he could tax the American people because he wants to generate revenue for the federal government. And he's going to do whatever he wants with that revenue, either pay down the debt or use it to fund his tax breaks that he gave to the wealthiest Americans. So he knows full well what he's doing, but he's lying about it. That's option number one. Or option number two is he's so stupid that he has no idea, that he believed what he was saying and what he was telling everyone, but that's not, he's surprised that it's happening and now is thinking, well, I guess I'll have to lower that he's a bumbling fool. All right. Those are the only two choices. There's no other choice. Which do you think is the correct answer? I know what I believe the answer is, but I'm not going to taint or sway you. Or would you like to hear my opinion? I believe number one. I believe he knows exactly what he's doing. That the administration just simply needed to raise money, and they did not want to just increase taxes, because if they went to announced to the people, we need more money, we're going to increase taxes because we need more money. That's very unpopular. So he just lied and said, we're going to make all these other countries that have been really nasty to us pay tariffs because they've been treating us really badly, and we're going to make them pay. And about 100 million Americans said, yeah, that's a great idea. And now they're paying more for their coffee and their bananas. And they don't know why. So I guess the strategy of just lying, looking at Americans straight out lying, I'm going to charge a 50% import tax on imports from Brazil, but coffee prices won't go up. I know we buy a lot of coffee from Brazil, but tariffs don't make prices go up. We're going to punish Brazil because they're on a witch hunt. They're trying to put someone in jail that I like, so I'm going to put tariffs on them. Just lie directly to people. He knows, or at least he thinks, that there's between 50 and 100 million Americans that are stupid enough that will believe him and support him. That's a strategy. I think he's just using a strategy that has consistently worked for him, is just to blatantly lie because he knows that there's a sufficient number of Americans that are so stupid that they'll believe him. That's what I think it is. But I'm interested in your opinion in the comment section. But wait, let's not end it on just this complaining that I'm having fun ridiculing Donald Trump. This is fun. But there's actually other good news for Canada. Let me show you. Reported here by the Canadian press on Yahoo Finance just last weekend, manufacturing sales up 3.3% in September in Canada, highest level since February. Manufacturing is actually up in Canada. So we have the situation in Canada where inflation is low, prices are not increasing, manufacturing and economic activity is increasing. That's the perfect balance. That's what you want. Now what we need is time. Time is on our side, right? Time is on your side as these numbers and this plays out in the economy over the next 6 months, year, 2 years. And in those months in the future, headlines like this will start appearing. Now, what good was it for Mark Carney to go to Europe 3 or 4 times and engage with all European leaders and increase our ties and try and promote trade between Europe and Canada? What good could possibly happen? Well, Norwegian battery company to build a $3.2 billion synthetic graphite plant in Ontario's Automotive Alley. The United States closes some plants in Ontario because of their protectionist tariff policies. Well, some other countries choose to come and invest in Canada. And this latest announcement is going to directly benefit from one of the provisions in the budget that was just tabled, this accelerated super deduction. If this battery company uses a plant in Ontario, they'll be able to write off their investment quickly. This was obviously an incentive, a positive for this Norwegian battery company to make the decision to set up in Ontario. Also reported by the Canadian press in Yahoo Finance here, Carney signs UAE investment pact. United Arab Emirates launches trade talks during Abu Dhabi visit. Our Prime Minister just signed another trade pact, this time with the United Arab Emirates, trying to increase Canada's trading options with other countries, other regions in the world. That's his job. That's what he's doing. And the fruits of all that labor will ripen and will be able to be picked off the tree in the months to come. So it's a contrast of styles in 2 countries, one being led by a lying buffoon and one being led by a smart businessman who's concentrating on economic deals. It's laughable how different the two situations are. In the most powerful country in the world, the United States, the president is concerned with people have to pay too much for bananas and coffee now because of a tax he imposed. And now he's probably going to try and convince them that by lowering the tariffs, they'll be able to get bananas cheaper. But it wasn't his fault. It wasn't the tariffs in the first place. Or whatever the hell he spews out of his ass to try and spin that however he wants. That's something that the administration is dealing with there. Whereas our government, and you've seen it in example after example after example that I've presented to you in my videos, our prime minister is touring the whole world, meeting with leaders of every country, trying to increase our potential to trade with them. He's rekindled the relationship with China and India. He's now in the Middle East. He's done a fantastic job in Europe. We've signed a major deal with Europe on defense spending and defense cooperation. I might have to do a video that summarizes all the initiatives, all the places he's went, and the deals or initiatives that have been signed. And it's a long list. Even though it's the Americans that are bragging that, Trump's made, 48 deals and he's ended 22 wars or whatever the hell they talk about down there. It's all nonsense. Okay, there's no deals in the United States. Well, we raised the price of bananas because we were stupid enough to put a tax on them, but now we're going to lower the tax on banana. We did a great deal with Colombia. We have U.S. announces massive deal with Colombia. We're all going to enjoy cheaper bananas now. That's the idea of a deal in the United States. So it's just, if it wasn't so pathetic for Americans, it would be hilarious. I could have made this a really funny video, but it's actually a sad situation for our neighbors down south. Leave some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you all think. Another fantastic day to be Canadian with another beautiful picture of our country. Share your pictures on the I Choose Canada site, and I might use them in future videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. I would really appreciate that. And if you want to support my work on a monthly basis, consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button below. I'm in a fantastic mood today because I just have that feeling that they're progressing in the right direction. We're headed on the right path. We just have to give it time, and hopefully we don't get infected by Mr. Doom and Gloom spewing nonsense, farting out of his mouth and speaking out of his ass, man. Because we have one of those in Canada. It's blowing out of his. What was it? I forgot. Farting out of his mouth and speaking out of his ass. I can't remember what I said. It was funny when I said it, but I can't remember it. Maybe I'm getting dementia. We're on the right path, and I can see it in the headlines and in the news that's coming out. Try not to absorb the news in little bits, and just pluck one little bit of bad news here and one little bit of bad news there, and then, Canada's broken. That's what politicians do. Try not to absorb that or let that affect you too much, because it's easy to spin things however you want. You have to look at the total picture of what's going on. We're diversifying our trade with the whole world, and the United States is worried about coffees and bananas. There couldn't be a bigger contrast than that. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everyone, and I'll catch you all on the next one.